What is that?
What?
Fan. It's like blowing all the papers.
It gets hot up there.
Okay, trying to figure out where to start. I guess start from maybe second grade. My family was basically as close to perfect as you could probably ever see a family. I was in gymnastics. My sister was a cheerleader. My dad worked at a law firm. My mom was a manager. They had a perfect relationship. It was like they were high school sweethearts, but they really weren't. But they just had a great relationship every day. And then in third grade, it wasn't a big deal because I was in a ministry and I knew I was really strong in my faith and I knew that God would be on my side in this. So I found out that I had a tethered spinal cord and it began affecting my bladder, affecting the way I walked. And I got a surgery for that, and I remember my pastor being there. We all prayed. I knew that was going to be okay. And then beginning in 6th grade is when everything absolutely fell apart. I found out that my dad was gay. And at that point, being in middle school, I was like everybody else, and I was totally against that. I didn't know what to think because I thought it was just my parents fighting, getting into a divorce. And I knew my mom, there was something wrong with her because she was constantly drinking every night. She didn't really talk to anybody. My dad still lived with us, but they would scream at each other. And one night we went to Crossroads, and my mom was very drunk, and she decided to tell me something horrible at the age of being of 11 or 12, that my mom had had an affair with someone, or my dad had had an affair with a man who I babysat for him, and it was a lie, and that's how I found out that my dad was gay, but my mom was lying because she was drunk and being very obnoxious. And I was only 12, so I remember that night I took my anger out because I didn't know if I should cry, if I should be ticked off at my dad, mad at my mom for telling me such a lie like that. So then I just got distant from everybody because soon, I don't know how, I guess it was from my sister, but everybody started finding out about it. I was constantly picked on, people telling me really gross things to go tell my dad. And I just thought it was crazy that people had the nerve to say things like that. And on top of that, my surgery for my back did not work. My bladder problem became worse. People started finding out about that at school. I was made fun of that. And I didn't know what to do. I didn't usually cry. I just came home and acted like it wasn't a big deal. And then my mom, I think I'll never forget this for the rest of my life. I was upstairs about to watch Nick at Night. I was laying in my bed, and my mom came into the guest bedroom, and it was right next to mine. I was only 12, so I still didn't know what was going on. My mom was screaming and crying, saying, "Why, God, why would you tear my family apart like this? Why does he have to be like this? I don't think I can go on another day." And so I remember rolling over, and I asked God the same questions, and that night I began to not believe in him at all, because I didn't think that he could do something like that to my family and it'd still be okay. So I was in denial, and then soon in 8th grade, my mom didn't talk to me, didn't talk to my sister. She would come home, sleep, drink, stay in her room all day. My sister began taking her anger out, and she would scream all the time, cry, in her room to herself. And then she met her boyfriend, Chris, who, on top of the family issues, Chris was black. And my family came against that, so my sister threatened to run away from home. And when she decided not to do that, she began to drink a lot. And she would hang out with her boyfriend all the time, leave me there to support my mom, which the only thing I could cook was maybe Easy Mac. So I would feed myself, and then a couple weeks before Thanksgiving of 8th grade year, my mom met a guy named Jeff. and they met over an email, or like email address, and they would email each other every day, and my mom would come home, and I was excited because my mom was finally getting off her feet a little bit again. But I wasn't expecting it, neither was my sister, but their blind date was on our Thanksgiving. And I remember thinking to myself, what if this dude was someone who could shoot somebody, come in and take our family? And my mom, right then, I knew he was a bad idea because at 12 o'clock on Thanksgiving, my mom took off. And for the rest of that year, my mom was gone all the time. She'd leave me and my sister home alone with no food, nothing. She'd be gone Friday, Saturday, Sunday, sometimes during the week. And then I met the wrong crowd, basically. I had a new boyfriend who was into drugs and drinking, absolutely anti-God all the way. He put me down a really bad path, like horrible path. And even thinking about it today, I don't even think that's me. I never even said a cuss word ever before that. I was cussing. I not hate God, but I still denied him because I thought my life's just going downhill from here. I made straight F's in everything. I didn't care about school. I didn't care what I looked like or nothing. And my escape began to be I would drink sometimes with my boyfriend, and then that summer, after that boyfriend went away, I went from being 103 pounds to almost 81, 82 pounds. I didn't eat. I was so depressed that food was gross to me. Bright colors were gross to me, smiley faces. I didn't want to see people happy. I didn't want to see myself happy because I thought, if everything this bad's going wrong, why should I be happy? Why should I live? What's the point? I would throw up clear liquid all the time because I didn't have so much food. And my bones would be sore because I guess that's from nutrient loss or whatever it was. But I was wearing a size 12 in kids, extra small in kids' clothes. And I remember it was sad because I would go to a mirror and still see myself as fat, ugly, all the names that I was called for my bladder issues. I just saw myself as a horrible person. And I thought being skinny, being size 11 in kids' clothes would make me better. And then I met yet another boyfriend who still decided to call me fat and call me names. And my mom was still gone. She was basically, when she would get home, I'd be so mad and so upset at myself and at her, and with the depression that I would take out my anger at her. And one night, she had taken my computer and my phone away from me, and we got into a huge fight. And I wanted to call my dad, and she took me by the neck and unplugged our house phone so I couldn't call my dad. So I ran away from home. I never saw myself as being the type of person who would run away. But my mom said that if you left, that she would call the police on me, and I told her to do it. I basically threatened her to do it, and she did. My friends said that they remembered them outside making a police report, and they were calling me a runaway teen. And I never thought of myself as being a runaway teen because I always looked at those people as bad. And that night, I remember my mom coming after the police had talked to us. She came back to our house with the police, and she was crying, saying that she loved me, and I told her that I hated her. And I never thought I could tell someone who gave life to me, basically, that I hated her. And from then on out, I was basically locked up in my room. I still didn't talk to her after that. The running away didn't help. And then I met with Ansley. I didn't have any friends at that point, but Ansley messaged me on Facebook when I was upset, and she was like, "Are you okay?" And I didn't really want to talk about it, but I had no one else, so I needed to get stuff off my chest. And Ansley invited me to her